John Locke was an English philosopher born in 1632. His youth was marked by the English Civil War that took place from 1642 to 1651. In Locke's time, the monarch's authoritarian power was a great threat to the freedom of individuals. He is considered one of the most influential modern philosophers, since his works were crucial to the creation of the Western world as we know it, beginning by the influence his ideas had in the Declaration of Independence of the US and the French Revolution. He is also considered the father of English liberalism. Some of his works are A Letter Concerning Toleration, Two Treatises of Government, Some Thoughts Concerning Education, and An Essay Concerning Human Understanding. His works were very influential in education, religious liberty, and political theory. Regarding the first category, he was a pioneer of empiricism. He believed that there are not innate thoughts, but that we learn according to our experience, and that whatever we are shaped for, that is what we will become. Locke also believed that religion was a personal decision, and hence the government had no rights to impose them or to punish different religious beliefs. Locke was highly influential for modernity. His theory of politics had three parts: natural rights, consent of the people, and the moral obligation to rebel. The first part is the idea that all men are born free and with certain rights, including liberty and property, and that every man was born equal regardless of where they were born. These rights can only be taken away from him with his consent. According to Locke, the existence of government is only justified by the consent of the ruled. Therefore, the end of any government has to be the protection of private property and individual liberty. People choose a government and enter into the social contract in order to make their life easier. If someone claims to rule another man with equal rights, it can only be through the consent of the one being ruled. In Locke's argument about the origin and conditions of society and obligation of politics, three different moments and two different pacts can be distinguished that led to the creation of the civil government: the state of nature, the state of war, civil status, and the pacts of society and government. Men need government because the state of nature means there are many problems for the organization of communities.
A state of equality within which all power and all jurisdiction are reciprocal, in which no one has more than another, since there is nothing more evident than beings of the same species and of the same rank, born to participate without extinction of all the advantages of nature.
So why do we need government?
I easily grant the civil government is the proper remedy for the inconveniences of the state of nature, which must certainly be great where men may be judges in their own case.
Locke believed that the government should work for the people, because people gave certain rights in order to obtain protection from the government. However, some of the rights could not be touched, not even from the government. Locke also believed that without men, law had no purpose. This modern philosopher also set the roots of the division of powers in legislative and executive branch, and he believed that the people had the right over their earnings. I know what you're thinking. What about taxes? Well, for Locke, you had to pay taxes if you want protection from the government.
It is true, governments cannot be supported without great shares, and it is fit everyone who enjoys his share of the protection should pay out of his estate his proportion of the maintenance of it.
The relations with other states. Even though Locke believed that everyone was born equal no matter where they were born, he said that the laws of a state are not directed for an alien, and if they were, he will have no obligation to pay attention to them, since the legislative authority that puts them in force to rule over the subjects of that states have no power over him. Locke was an advocate of private property and limited government, and he believed that society cannot prosper if there is a continuous government intervention into the lives of the people. Hence, communism will not be something that Locke will approve. C.V. Macpherson sees Locke as a defender of unrestricted capitalist accumulation. Finally, Locke defends the right of revolution. If a government does not seek to protect the individual rights of the people can choose a new government. But what about Locke today? Well, his idea of division of power is still valid, as well as the roots of democracy that dictate that people should choose their leader. However, is this still really valid? In the 2016 US presidential elections, Clinton won the majority of the votes. However, Trump is the current president of said nation. The same happens with Mexico, where only 40% of the people who voted for the current leader. That means that more than half of the people did not choose Enrique Peña Nieto as their president. According to Locke, any laws or legislation that were made without the support of the people, or them asking the ruler to do it, do not force people to actually accommodate to them. This is a case of many wars, where governments actually force their people to go fight. Locke believes is that everyone has the same rights. However, governments are constraining individual rights and can take away property and liberty. For Locke, man has the right to exercise his freedom without limits in everything that does not harm others and is not vicious behavior. So every sexual preference does have to be respected by everyone. Locke defends the right of revolution if the current government does not longer fit the needs of the people, but today's government suppress them and refuse to accept them. For example, in Syria, the government led by the President Bashar al-Assad is trying to end protests by killing civilians and militarizing entire zones. The same is happening in Venezuela, where the Chavista regime has no longer the legitimization needed for them to govern. However, Maduro refuses to accept this. The end of any government should be making the life of the people easier. However, nowadays, governments make laws as they fit them without the consent of the people. Let's give an example. In Mexico, Ley 3 de 3 was a citizen initiative that was signed by thousands of people, but yet the government refused to accept it. Corruption is a violation to social contract according to Locke. Locke actually believes in religious toleration, but some countries are not respecting it. Right now, the US is not tolerating Muslim religions. Also, in Sudan, Muslim women are not allowed to marry non-Muslim men. Today, Locke can only be applied, or at least can be mostly applied, to Western countries, since he believed that all men were born in the same state of nature, and he simply poses the best form of government that he believes is the best one. Men are born equal and free, with a set of natural rights. They are born in a state of nature, but the problem that exists in said state of nature is that there is no political organization that guarantees the exercise of natural rights. Hence, governments are implemented, and they should protect people in exchange to some people's rights. But the end of any government should be to make man's life easier. For Locke, human nature is not necessarily good, because men can violate the rights of others, but they are not necessarily bad either, because they have a natural moral law, discovered by reason that imposes them limits on their behavior, and men can be shaped through education in order to become good men. Locke set the basis for modern Western societies. His ideas of division of power and democracy are still valid. Locke had really great ideas, but they are not always implemented in today's life. However, Locke is definitely the father of English liberalism.